Coming to you live from an overcrowded community centre somewhere in the multiverse. It's this week's Apocalypse. I am your co-host, surrounded by many other co-hosts just like me, Kevin Lanahan. With me, as always, is about 300 John Ferrises, but I've picked this one.
Yeah, I'll take this. Yeah.
Hey, John, how are you doing today?
I'm just,
How's your
creeped out.
What about all your other ones? How are they?
God, who cares? Look at them all. Ugh.
God,
no one needs to see this much of themselves.
No, they don't. And like, they're all like, so it's a weird thing. It's like, it's not like looking in a mirror. It's like they're all ever so slightly different.
Yeah.
You know, there's
that one doesn't have a beard, which that just should be shot.
Just yeah. There's like all the beardless ones have like collected in the corner. You know,
creeps.
Yeah, they're all like hovering over there. Like they just, there's something else about the beard. The way they move is even wrong. I don't know what it is, John, but fuck them.
Yep.
We're over here in our little safe space that we have created, because we're the only ones who got zapped in here with recording equipment, which is nice for us and terrible for them. They all do other podcasts in different dimensions, but they don't do them about movies.
Yeah.
For the most part. And I don't understand that. There's a guy over there. There's a John and a Kevin who do a podcast about mops, which I don't understand what that is. Their reality is one I do not want to have any contact with.
To be fair, it's fascinating.
I mean, when you hear them actually talk about it, like they're really into it, and it's almost like you sort of get enthusiastic about their enthusiasm about the mops.
Yeah.
Yeah, also they're very well dressed. They're wearing like really expensive Italian suits. And
there was those ones that we did actually have to kill who they did do the movie podcast, but their favourite movie, both of them, was Ghosts of Mars, so we had to murder them. Yeah,
they were from the bad opposite world.
Yeah.
And they didn't have beards so much as they had little goatees.
They had goatees on top of their beards.
Yeah, they had like fake goatees glued to their already beards.
To emphasise their evilness.
Yeah, so they had to go. So we don't talk about them again. No. Because I'm not sure if it's a crime to murder yourself. Is it?
Not Jet Li doesn't think so, but we'll get into that later.
Unless there are interdimensional cops, but we don't know about that. But we'll find out about that because we watched a bunch of films.
Yep.
Because as soon as it started happening, as soon as the old interdimensional terror opened up, you know, it was like, right, well, let's just grab the shelf and see what we can pick out of here. So we have had from 2022. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I know, a really modern, super, like, recent movie.
Yeah.
Everything.
We very rarely do that.
Yeah. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Directed by Daniels.
The Daniels.
Or Dan Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. But they go by Daniels, which I think is actually kind of fun.
It's kind of endearing. Yeah.
I think it's kind of fun. Then we have The One from 2001. And is it from fucking 2001? Oh my, yes it is, extremely.
it's so 2001.
Directed by a guy who I am sort of a fan of, in a way, James Wong. He's done some movies we've talked about before and I have lauded, not necessarily for their cinematic artistic qualities, but definitely for their let's have fun with this film qualities.
He's a strange one. Which is a good segue into our third movie.
Indeed,
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Spiderman No Way Home from 2021.
Okay, I mean it has multiverse, but no, we agreed.
Directed by John
on it. We agreed on it being Doctor Strange. Like weeks ago.
No. No.
So you're not right.
Oh, we're all the wrong one. No, you're the wrong one. You're not my John.
That would explain why you had recording equipment and I had recording equipment, and it was like almost the same.
But with slight differences.
Yeah.
You know what? Well, I can't be bothered picking through all these other ones, and you seem all right.
Yeah.
you're not like secretly like a skin eater or something, are you?
No.
Because my John was, and I prefer it if that was one of the things I would have changed about him. So you come back with me, and he can go back with whatever the other fucker from your dimension. He can lump it.
Yeah,
right,
because my Kevin had, instead of eyebrows, it was mustaches. It was really obvious mustaches instead of eyebrows.
Is that like a surgical thing that he had done for vanity reasons?
He was just that kind of a person, really.
He sounds like a straight. I think, you know what? I think this has worked out for us.
Yeah.
I think we've each found the better person from our pairing.
Yeah.
So
we come prepared. We as you said, we're the only ones here with equipment.
Yeah, although this has kind of stuffed our discussion, but sure, we'll figure that out when we get there, I guess.
Marvel, they're basically the same movie.
Yeah, they're all Marvel. They're all just the CG mulch of Marvel movies with, sometimes heart. So you know what? Let's just have a little break, get ourselves together, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about these movies. All right. Well, I think this is going to work out. I think we're fine, John. I don't know how we're going to get back to, I assume, my dimension. Oh, we could go back to your dimension. I don't know. Either way, but is it all right there? What's happening there? Is it okay? Is there any
no, it's terrible. It's there was a global pandemic. There's all sorts of hateful nonsense. There's a war in Ukraine. Yeah, it's terrible. So we'll go to yours.
Bad news for you there, John. There was a pandemic and there was all kinds of hateful bastards, and there's a war in Ukraine. Yeah,
it'd be nice to find the goods. Multiverse.
Yeah, maybe we knock off like another pair of these John and Kevins and take
try and find the happiest ones.
Find the good dimension. And I think we got some good advice for finding the best place.
Oh yes.
In Daniel's Everything Everywhere All at Once from this year, the year of our Lord, 2022. Of course, I'm talking about the Spider Lord that we worship in my dimension, that we universally worship in my dimension.
That's definitely your dimension.
Yeah. All hail the Spider Lord. So, John, what did you think of Everything Everywhere All at Once?
I absolutely adore this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it twice now, and we'll probably watch it because I'm sure once we start talking about it, I'm going to be like, I can't wait to watch this again, and I will watch it today.
Yeah.
It's bonkers and clever and so smartly written, and the performances are great, and the editing's great, and even just like these ideas of like changing aspect ratio makes sense, and everything seems to fit in at the end. Like even like at the start, there's stuff that happens that you're like, that's really random, and it plays off kind of silly, and you kind of go, it's fine, and you take it for what it is, and then later you're like, wait a minute, that now makes emotional sense to the characters.
There is so much. That's whenever I was watching this film, like, no spoilers. No. I'm just gonna say that, like, for the first like half to maybe 2/3, I was like, I don't know. But then what I realized was what was happening during the first 2/3 of the movie is it was getting a bunch of hooks into me. Mm-hmm. And then like the final sort of act of the movie is it pulling on all of them all at once. When you're, no pun intended, when you're just like, oh, so much of this was set up, and it was entertaining setup.
Yeah.
But the payoff is so powerful and overwhelming at times.
Yeah.
You're getting so much happening, and it's very appropriately titled.
Yes, definitely.
By the time you get into the final third, you're just like, okay, all the stuff from the first chunk of this movie is being justified now by everything that's happening right now, and is being blasted into my eyeballs and my ears. And it was...
And as you say, it's still entertaining. Like, it's entertaining setup. It's not like... a lot of like dialogue just being delivered to kind of explain a multiverse. They don't do that. It's all like it's highly entertaining. It's silly and it's daft, and you're like, and I don't know if you've seen their other movie, The Swiss Army Man.
I haven't actually seen it. I always kind of wanted to see it. It looked really stupid.
It's one of those ones that I think is it like the first like third of that movie I kind of enjoyed, but then like it kind of lost me. And I'm not actually a big fan of it, so I did come into this movie a bit hesitant. I like the look of it in trailers and things like that, but I was like still going. It might just be mental for the sake of it. It might just be like, random for the sake of it. But no, it's really not. Everything in it, like wee stupid things, like there's googly eyes that the husband puts on the washing machines, and like everything really, like to try and cheer people up. That all comes around. Stupid wee things that are on the TV end up being a huge impact. It's so cleverly written.
Absolutely. It seems like you were talking earlier about the editing. This must have been such a gargantuan trial or task to put this together into a coherent narrative.
Yeah.
Because there's so much wildly different stuff happening constantly. and like it tries to explain itself, and then it doesn't bother explaining itself, and then you understand suddenly, it's like, it looks really good as well. Like it's so colorful and beautiful and wildly different. It's like they blended together 5 different movies about the same thing.
Yeah,
into one
which
solid
is what,
narrative.
Like, when I was saying earlier about the aspect ratio changing, they change it to suit as Evelyn goes into these different worlds. Like she takes on like a different role where there's one, without kind of spoiling too much. There's one where she's it's very like Bruce Lee inspired. She's learning martial arts and stuff like this, and the aspect ratio and the color and everything kind of changes to match that style of movie, and that's just one of the many that there is. They've one that's kind of it's almost like a more romantic, like rom-com type feel and things like that, and the aspect ratio shifts for these specific scenes, and then it also shifts throughout the movie as she becomes more acceptant of the multiverse. Because she has her own issues. Like she's just like this working mom, and she I wouldn't say closed-minded, but I suppose it's the best way to put it. At the start, and then as she starts like experiencing all these other hers, then she's able to like open her mind up a bit. But I also found out that the VFX for this movie was done by 9 people, including the 2 directors, and they never went to school to learn the effects.
They just figured it out.
They learned it from tutorials.
All right,
so
cool.
They basically learned it on YouTube, and
that's brilliant.
You can't tell because the movie looks great. It looks fantastic.
Yeah. You wouldn't know.
No.
You wouldn't know. It seems really professional, and like it feels really scattershot until it really doesn't.
Yeah.
As well, and the way it all comes together is really at times beautiful.
Oh yeah.
It's very I find myself getting quite emotional towards the end of this movie.
Yeah.
Quite a lot, like a few different times in mostly in the final third.
Some very unexpected times.
Yep. Some times where you would otherwise think that's ludicrous, you should be laughing your ass off at this, but you're actually kind of getting choked up about what you're seeing, even though it's really stupid looking sometimes. And that's a real achievement, because there's one in particular that I think you're probably talking about that looks and is in concept so unbelievably stupid and nonsense.
We'll get into it in our spoiler part, because
we'll talk about it at the end.
We can talk about the because I mean we haven't even touched on the fact that the acting, the casting for a start is phenomenal, and the acting is incredible.
It's brilliant.
It's one of those, I hate saying like these role defining things, but Michelle Yeoh just proves that she's more than just this martial arts actress. You know, apparently they were going to get Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan was going to be the lead, actually, because it was going to focus on the husband initially.
Okay.
But I think they made the right choice and changing to a mother and getting Michelle Yeoh, because as much as Jackie Chan is fucking awesome at the martial arts, he's not a great actor.
He's not.
Michelle
Yeoh is a fantastic actress. Oh my.
There's a bit that kind of it's actually my wife pointed out when we were watching it the second time round, and it's very near the start where she's meeting up with Jamie Lee Curtis's brilliantly played Deirdre, like the IRS agent.
All the Deirdres are brilliantly played, yes.
And she's just loving that role, but she's in talking to her. Deirdre's giving them bad news, like they're not looking after their finances well enough and blah blah blah. And then Michelle Yeoh has this moment where she kind of isn't crying, but like is holding back the tears and says, "You always use big words to confuse us." And the acting's incredible in it. Like her eyes, it's all in her eyes really, but it just looks like she's just ready to fall apart, and it's just beautiful. But it continues on like this. Like she's amazing because like she holds the whole thing together, which isn't to downplay everyone else, including her wonderfully played husband.
Kwan.
Oh,
he is so good, and like he's not in a lot of films.
No,
but if you're our age, you know who he is. You know, there are two big films, like for me, I mean, he was Data in the Goonies, but he was also Short Round in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which is everybody's like second least favorite Indiana Jones movie now that the Crystal Skull exists. But I always liked the Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
I was always a Temple of Doom defender.
But he was one of the best parts in it as well. Like like this like weird wee kid who kind of helping him, but he's so great in this. Like
he is fucking brilliant, and I almost don't want to talk about it anymore because all the things I want to talk about
are spoilers.
Is stuff I shouldn't talk about. Yeah, and especially when it comes down to him and the whole point of his character. Yeah. You know, is like
he's very much the heart. Well, no, I suppose it's more complex than that. Like you can't even say he's the heart in it because, like that family dynamic that they have is so good. Stephanie Sue, who plays the daughters, really really great as well. And like
James Hong is the granddad. He's
perfect. James Hong's just a legend. You know what this?
So he is. Yes, he is. Yeah, that's the best word to describe him. He's a legend.
And it's not a massive cast, but everyone seems to like. Even the wee bit players, the people who are in like a couple of scenes, bring something special to the role. It all seems very. I don't know. There's a lot of heart in this movie. I think
extremely. Yeah, I mean, without that, it wouldn't be. Without that, it would be nonsense.
Yeah,
it would be unfollowable nonsense. But that's what pulls you through and creates the thread that brings everything together.
At the core, it is about a mother trying to understand her daughter.
Yeah, and failing and trying again and failing and giving up and then trying again and failing.
And there's also like elements of like kind of depression, like almost like a hereditary kind of mental illness. You could look into like there's a lot of ways to look into this movie again, which is another reason I think why we both love movies that you can dissect. You know, and someone could argue, no, you're reaching, but I don't think you are to say like there is like a mental illness angle you could spin on this.
Absolutely. Well, they do openly they do fairly openly talk about it at certain points.
Yeah.
Again, I think we're getting dangerously close to spoiler territory again here. So I think we should just move on. We should just say that
go watch this if you haven't already.
Go watch this film. If at the beginning you're a bit iffy on it, don't stop it. Don't turn it off. Don't walk out or whatever. Let it flow. If you can't follow what's happening and it's too complicated, don't worry. It's deliberately like that. And it will all make sense later in every way that matters.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. So, quadruple thumbs up, I think, from us here. Awesome. All right, John. Well, we haven't had to kill any more of our doubles.
Yeah.
But, and I know violence isn't usually our solution.
No.
We tend to avoid that as best as possible. But I feel like there's something appealing about what it does for Jet Li in The One.
Oh, yeah.
From 2001. From 2001. Directed by James Wong, director of Final Destinations 1 and 3. He didn't direct the best one, but he directed the second best one and the third best one.
There you go.
So, go on, Jim. 3 was good. 3 was very good, and the first one is actually okay as well. Well. So, John, what did you think of, I'm just going to say, Jet Li's The One?
Yeah, it is Jet Li's. Really,
Yeah.
isn't it? Like, he's kind of the main draw on this.
Yeah, it's not Jason Statham, like.
It's a terrible movie. It's awful, but it's
the butt is so huge. That was not. I didn't mean to say that.
It's kind of funny. It's so ridiculous. It's Jason Statham's terrible American accent.
Oh, he's so bad, isn't he?
Again, my wife, my long-suffering wife, had to sit through this movie with me. She didn't have to, but she decided to, and she was sitting there going, like, what? Why did he have to have an American accent if it's all multiverse nonsense?
Don't know. There was probably a producer said
it tastes better.
People aren't going to understand this limey bastard. Can you do like an accent like American?
And he said, yeah, sure, buddy, I can do that. I'm like, oh, no, you can't.
See,
but
your mock one there was actually better than his real one.
I think it was fairly close to his performance, I think. But yeah, this film's daft as fuck. It's the most fucking 2000 it's the most turn of the millennium film I think I have ever seen. Yeah, I mean, it's got, that's the soundtrack alone. Disturbed, Papa Roach, Drowning Pool, there's somebody else. Was it Fear Factory? It's just, my God. And every time one of them comes on, it's perfectly rubbish.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because...
One of the best bits is when evil Jet Li is flicking through the stations and when he steals the truck.
And he finds... What is it he finds?
Finally find some good music.
Finally found something I like in this dimension, I think is what he says. Oh, it's so crap. Yeah. And everybody, they're all wearing ankle-length fitted leather fucking trench coats because right before they started production, they all saw The Matrix. And they thought, and we'll slow down time and stuff like bullet time, except not quite like bullet time because it'll be rubbish and cheap.
Yeah.
Because bullet time, you go back and you watch the first Matrix now, and to be honest, it kind of the first one kind of holds up.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the first one holds up, and the special effects, the bits that aren't CG, people flopping about. Listen, there's not a lot of that in the first one. Most of it looks really good. The bullet time stuff still looks kind of really cool because of the way it was done with actual cameras and stuff. Whereas, like, they're trying to recreate that same effect here with bad 2000 CG and slowing down time in ways that look rubbish and fake as fuck.
They're the best moments. It's for him to run over very quickly and like punch them while they're in midair.
Yeah, it reminded me of like the old 90s The Flash movie because that's how they did that in The Flash movie, and it was bad.
I feel I should draw attention to who the production assistant action choreographer is for this movie.
Who's that?
It's Kwan.
Huh?
I've probably butchered the name. Literally, the Waymond from Everything Everywhere All at Once.
You are joking me.
Nope. We did this by accident because we just kind of were thinking, what
He worked on this film.
Yeah. Yeah,
but not in the film. He was like a choreographer,
because apparently that's what he did. He hasn't been acting since a kid, basically, because he's kind of been more behind the scenes, and he's a choreographer. Which I'm gonna then say another thing about Everything Everywhere All at Once while I can, which is that's why his fight scenes in that are so good, because he's a fucking choreographer and he knows what he's fucking doing.
He knows exactly what he's doing, yeah.
And look at me managing to talk about Everything Everywhere.
You're managing to shove it in here again. Yeah, we have a terrible habit of doing shit like that. Go, let's talk about the good movie. But no, let's talk about the one. Okay, let's rein that in.
The one.
And talk about Jet Li's performance, which is middling, and Jason Statham's performance, which is terrible, and Delroy Lindo, who's all right.
Yeah,
that guy's okay. But it is. I mean, it is what it is. It's a switch your brain off movie.
Oh, definitely.
That kind of has a premise that you would think demands no, keep your brain on.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is complicated, except you don't have to, because they literally explain it to you over and over and over and over again, just in case you missed it before, about what's happening and how he's murdering all the other versions of himself to get strong or something. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. It's making him strong and fast.
It also dumbs down like the idea of a multiverse. Well, I mean, this is... Yeah. Like it's actually quite difficult to find kind of multiverse movies. Not so much now because it's the latest thing.
All of a sudden, it's everywhere in Marvel. Yeah.
So it's being popularized because it's being, as you say, being made by Marvel. They're making all these ones, so there's going to be a lot more, I would say. But in 2001, not so much. So they kind of explain it as every time a star dies, a new multiverse is created or something like that.
Something? Did they even go into that much detail?
Yeah, it's like a throwaway line from Jason Statham.
I missed that Jason Statham line, I'm afraid. Oh, well, okay.
So you don't even have, because the multiverses in these other movies, it's pretty much infinite. Because... the way multiverse theory works is that it not only is it every choice that you make that could branch off into something else, no matter how small it is. So that could be, do I want a second cup of coffee? I can't imagine a multiverse. I can't imagine a universe where I say no, but apparently there is one.
Yeah.
And like to the strangest one where we're like all insect people, or you know. We're all
anyone who watched the TV show Sliders, which I did a lot, will be very familiar with the concept that they're explaining over and over again about. But also in Sliders it was infinite, whereas in this there is a solid number.
Yeah.
Of there's like 125 universes or something. I think is the number. And he's killed like 123 different versions of himself. It's so funny when
the different versions of him are shown. I could watch a movie of just that, of like Jet Li and these different makeups. Like one point there's like Rasta Jet Li and stuff. You're like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. They show all the
pictures of him on the screen. And then they all have stupid names for every. They don't just number the dimensions. They have a name for every dimension.
They've got a name that like slightly rhymes with the name that he has. I think because he's called like Yu-Law or something like that.
Yeah, he's Yu-Law. Yeah.
And they slightly rhyme, if I remember right. I should kind of written some of them down actually.
Yeah, but either way, it's very bad.
Yeah.
The Jet Li's actual sort of fighting performance is, it's not well shot. No. He's very good because he's fucking Jet Li.
Yeah.
But it's poorly shot. It's really cutty. You can really tell that he's not actually... There's points where he's supposed to be fighting himself, and it's not... You're just like, that guy doesn't even look like Jet Li. There is one point... I did appreciate one point. There's a point where he's having the proper fight with himself, and he does the courtesy of... They're both wearing onesies essentially.
Yep.
the evil one does us the courtesy of unbuttoning his onesie and like taking it down and wrapping it around his waist so we can tell which one's the bad one and which one isn't for the sake of the scene, because there's no reason for him to do it outside of that other than for us to be like,
he might as well look at the camera and like wink
and go, I'm the bad guy. Like, yes you are.
Or do the Star Trek thing and like, where are we going?
Yeah, just grow a wee beard or something. Yeah. So it is stupid. The dialogue's absolutely atrocious.
Yeah.
Everything about it's kind of half-assed, but I had a great time. I filled a big bowl full of like different kinds of crisps and snacks when I sat down and I watched this, and it just felt right. You know, I was shoving like Doritos and like Pringles into my face in like the same bite, and watching this daft film, feeling like the film was sort of represented by the mishmash bowl of stuff that I had in front of me. And I was like, this is perfect. This just works. And it doesn't work. And that's why it's also good. Because it is crap. But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Jason Statham, I mean, we've been over like, the performances are universally crap.
Yeah.
Really. They constantly explain what's going on. They constantly tell you how the universes work.
Characters are dumb.
Characters are extremely stupid. They do extremely stupid things. The nature of his getting betterness is extremely nebulous, and it's just whatever it is they need at that time in that scene. Oh, suddenly, I guess he's bulletproof now.
Yeah. His powers are never really quantified.
Yeah, he can just beat up people good, and I guess he can. There's a point where he's supposed to be running at 50 miles an hour, and they do that sort of ghosting. They speed up the footage, but then they do like a ghosting effect on it. So, like as if it's like, whoosh.
And he only does it for like a couple of seconds, and then they have him just like run normally.
And then you look at him, and like the guy's driving after him, going, "It's Hank from Breaking Bad." They're right. Like, "He's doing 60," driving after him, and then we see him run across an intersection. Like, he's not doing 60. He's just running, like he's running fast enough, but it's not like. Whenever I watch Terminator 2 and I see the T-1000 chasing the car down, it's kind of, it works. Yeah. They shot that in such a way that you kind of believe that is it Robert Patrick is running that fast, whereas in this, no, you don't believe it. No. You just go, no, he's just a dude running. Like, he's not running like a car.
They kind of show too much, where I think, am I right in saying, well, no, they do actually show full body shots of in T2 of him running, but they don't show it for too long. In this, they kind of show him like running round things.
Yeah, and they have a stationary camera on a crane above the intersection, and you see him run across it.
Yeah,
so in like, full view.
So automatically, your brain knows he's not going 50.
No, he's definitely not.
I mean, he's
50.
Going faster than I could because he's fucking Jet Li.
Absolutely, yes. He's a very healthy, fit man.
Yeah, and he's in his prime. So yeah. I imagine he's doing fairly well, but he's not going 50.
Yeah, no, he's not going 50. But anyway, outside of that, it's kind of garbage, and it's stupid, and it is funny. I did laugh a lot, and it was so 90s, and like the trench coats and the way
at it, not with it.
Absolutely, yes. And like the bad CG and the music. Again, the music every time they played like a song, it was like, oh, okay, there's Papa Roach now. Brilliant. I was waiting for this to come on. Like the whole film, it was just like, I wonder if that cut my life into pieces.
I almost had to pause it because I was laughing so hard whenever there's one point in this, and sorry for the spoiler, but really it doesn't matter.
It's the one.
There's a little mouse that they've trained and has some kind of explosive in it.
It's so stupid to break him out of death row, even though it's not death row. It's like, we're going to sentence you to interdimensional prison or whatever.
And like, when it explodes, you get the wah!
It goes the time with the explosion. It's just so cheesy.
It's brilliant for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, so we wholeheartedly apparently recommend The One
to certain people. I know, like, if you don't like your stupid movies that you can sit and laugh at, then don't. It's going to be a waste of time for you.
Yeah, if you liked Sliders, but thought it was too clever and not violent enough, then this is the movie for you.
Because any of the issues that I have with this are all kind of like, well, yeah, it's a dumb fucking 2001 movie. And
absolutely.
I mean, actually, the one thing that I will say, which I think they could have got better on, is you don't get Jet Li and have him in a load of gunfights. You get Jet Li and you come up with a reason, which is quite easy in a multiverse movie, to get rid of guns.
Yeah, you could be a dimension where they never invented gunpowder or something.
Kick as many people in the face as possible. Yeah. A wee bit of trivia about this movie, actually, which I found out. Apparently, it was going to be The Rock instead of Jet Li until he... I think it was one of the Mummy movies that he did.
That was the second one, I think.
Maybe, he was like contracts and stuff. He couldn't do it.
Jet Li was in the third one, I think.
Oh, there you go.
He was in the third movie.
Yeah.
Yes, it was like the Sun Emperor or something. I can't remember the name of it. Yeah.
So yeah, it could have been The Rock's The One,
Indeed.
which would have been a very different movie, but also probably still hilarious.
It probably would have been absolutely daft, as equally so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it might have been more. And like, he's always like, you've mentioned this before, but like, he's like the one person when you see him in a movie that you believe can survive through things that would normally kill a regular person. Like, you look at The Rock fall 4 stories and hit the ground and be like, oh, he's probably fine.
Yeah.
You see him get up and dust himself up and you go, of course.
He's basically superhuman anyway. I've seen the trailer for the new Black Adam movie, which he's playing the lead.
I haven't seen the trailer for that yet. I didn't know there was a trailer out.
Oh, there's a trailer. Yeah, I think it just dropped this week. But I was just kind of laughing. It's like, at one point someone hits him with like a I was about to say a lamppost there, but that doesn't sound right. Hits him with something large and metallic, and it kind of bends around his face, and it's like, probably didn't even CGI that, you know?
No, they just hit him with a lamppost, and we're like, there you go. Cut, print, done.
You okay, Rock? It was like, what?
It's like, sorry, my name is Dwayne. Thank you very much, Mr. Director. All right. Yeah. So if you want a good time, and you don't want to go to the cinema to see Doctor Strange, and you really want to watch a multiverse movie.
If you want a good time anyway, don't go to the cinema to go see Doctor Strange. We'll get into that.
Well, I have no knowledge of that because I'm from the other place.
Yep.
So I couldn't possibly comment. But yeah, if again, to a very specific person, I would definitely recommend James Wong's The One from 2001.
Yes.
Extremely.
Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange.
No, it's Spider-Man. Let's talk about Spider-Man. No
Doctor
way.
Strange, Doctor Strange.
Okay, Spider-Man No Way Home, directed by John Watts, who's made some films I have thoroughly enjoyed. I have to say, he made 2 great movies I really liked. One is called Clown.
Oh yeah, I still have to watch this.
Suit and can't take it off, and it starts melding with his body.
Yeah,
and it's brilliant.
Okay.
And he did another really wonderful indie movie with Kevin Bacon in it called Cop Car.
Right.
Which is wonderful, and I highly recommend, about these 2 kids who live out in the countryside who stumble across it's off the road in the field.
Yeah.
In like a wee glade of trees, they find a cop car with the keys in the ignition just sitting there, and they steal it. Like, they just go, they look around and there's nobody about, and it's just sitting in this field, like, what the hell? And they get in, they're about like 9 or 10, and they steal this cop car and rake it off up the road, and then they find this guy tied up in the boot. And Kevin Bacon is the cop whose car it is, who was in the bushes, who comes out, and then he's chasing them for the rest of the movie, trying to get his cop car back.
Okay,
that's fucking brilliant, and I love it.
Yeah.
My opinion on Spider-Man No Way Home is mixed.
Mm-hmm.
I love both of those films. This film had its ups and downs.
Yeah, I seen this movie, but I seen it when it came, well, roughly about when it came out, but I can't remember it too well, so it's not fresh in my head. But yeah, Doctor Strange, he features in this. I'll
He
get
does.
I'll
He
get
features-
into
Yeah.
him later,
That'll be a
wee
good
bit more.
segue.
Yeah.
He is a clutch figure.
and he's a fucking idiot in this, if I remember
Spider-Man
well.
No Way Home, he's a fucking boob. Yeah. He keeps making mistakes that, based on previous Doctor Strange outings, you'd think he wouldn't make.
Yeah,
Which is sort of I don't know how that shakes out in the Multiverse of Madness, but in this one, he is. I mean, Peter Parker goes through a lot of the movie being like, "It's my fault," and I mean Tom Holland, Peter Parker goes through the movie thinking, "It's my fault," and then at some point, I believe it's Zendaya does say to Doctor Strange, "No, this is your fault," and I was like, "Yes, it is his fault. He should have done nothing." But anyway, this film is so fan servicey.
yeah.
That's what it is. It's the ultimate Spider-Man fan service.
And
which
some of it's done fairly well. I have to keep paying its dues. Where you say that and it automatically sounds like a bad thing, but it's kind of
not
like
always.
it's like it's kind of done well. I remember enjoying this movie, but when I seen different reviews and it seems to be praised a bit too much, I was like, it's not that good. It's fine.
Yeah.
But it's a good excuse to get all these other Spider-Men together.
It was nice to see Tobey Maguire in a way, being like Peter Parker again, because the last time he was Peter Parker was a fucking car crash. Spider-Man 3 was...
You didn't like the dancing?
I mean, I don't know if it's the worst comic book movie, because before the Marvel Universe, there were some really bad, genuinely hardcore bad.
I hear Morbius may take that mantle. I haven't seen it, but
seen it yet.
I've no desire to either.
Yeah, I don't know if I will. But the old Punisher movie with Dolph Lundgren in it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
The old Flash movie, which I talked about earlier, was pretty bad.
I would say, I'm going to add to that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is pretty bad, because it does what a lot of those movies, a lot of the worst thing a superhero movie can do is be boring.
Yeah.
And it's very boring. And I don't know, it almost seems like Doctor Strange isn't, and maybe he works better this way, he shouldn't have his own movies, but his own movie, he seems like a side character. Which
I heard that it's a Scarlet Witch movie. I heard somebody say.
Well, this is going to be the next thing that have you heard anything about it? Do you know anything kind of about the...
I don't know anything about the story. I saw the trailer for the first time.
Do you know who the big bad is in it?
I saw the trailer at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home. That was just a trailer for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. No, I don't know who the big bad is or anything. And I feel like there's a sort of a... when I saw the trailer, I thought, am I going to have to watch that WandaVision show before I watch this to know what's happening?
Possibly Loki as well. I kind of watched... I didn't watch those shows. I watched something after. I watched a few videos on YouTube of people going through the basic plot and stuff, because you do feel like you've missed something. You feel like certain... you can still follow it okay. It's not that complicated. It's still a superhero movie. But you get the sense that I've missed some key bit of information here. And I will say, Wanda is terrible. Wanda is... Elizabeth Olsen as well is really phones it in this one.
Really?
She seems really bored of the role. So does Benedict Cumberbatch. And there's a new character who plays America Chavez, who can open things into the multiverse. She's terrible. It's the acting all around. But I remember Spider-Man No Way Home. I remember it being fun and it was stupid and daft, but things were happening.
Absolutely. That is something I will say about Spider-Man No Way Home. Stuff's always going on. There's always something sort of exciting happening, because there's so many villains, but in a way that isn't actually overwhelming, like it can be in the other Spider-Man movies. They always felt like they had to have two villains in every single one working in tandem, in that original Sam Raimi trilogy. And this one, it's like it's all of these villains all at once. And it actually doesn't get out of hand. And you know what? It was really nice to see Willem Dafoe playing Norman Osborn again.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed that, I think, the most. Because Willem Dafoe is such a weird actor. You know? He does weird stuff. But then I saw him in this and I was like, I genuinely, like, I think the thing is that Spider-Man was, whenever I was a kid, Spider-Man was the comic I used to read.
Yeah.
So it was just the one that I found the cover most appealing initially. I was like, oh, I want to read that. And then I started reading Spider-Man's. And I always felt sorry for Norman Osborn.
Yeah.
Norman Osborn was always, I always found him extremely sympathetic.
Well,
Because it's
this
not
is
his fault.
It's another funny
is.
parallel to
Yeah.
the Multiverse of Madness one is they do I think they do fairly well with Norman Osborn in that, where they do make you feel like he's a victim of things beyond his control, that he fucked up and he kind of was tried this serum or whatever it is.
Hubris, but then, like, you know, it broke him in a way.
He's not to his core, he's not an evil character. I find that the way they handle Scarlet Witch in Multiverse of Madness, she has the emotional maturity of a ham sandwich. She's she's such a one-dimensional idiot, and in many ways, so Doctor Strange can be quite like short-sighted when these are characters that are meant to like be very wise and very knowledgeable and things like that. But yeah, in the Spider-Man one, I think they do Norman justice. Multiverse of Madness, yet another nice parallel here with the Spider-Man movie where they drop the ball on those things. And I should say, actually, I got this feeling during Multiverse of Madness that after each action scene, there was like, it was almost obligatory to have this scene of like the swelling violins and like some forced emotional scene with one of the characters, and it always landed so flatly. But I never got that. Like the Spider-Man one, they had those because you still have to have those moments, but it felt, apart from the Aunt May stuff maybe for me, but apart from that, which felt a bit forced, like the other ones felt like they got it right. The pathos was earned.
It was appropriate, and like, because all of the villains have their like things that are like they're not necessarily evil people.
Yeah.
You know, and that's always been a thing with Spider-Man villains, where it's like this person has been driven mad or is greedy and stuff, but there's always something about them that you're just like, oh, they're a bit sympathetic. And like, and it was nice to see...
Absolute power corrupts absolutely kind of thing as well.
Yeah. And I think they did a good job with. I was weirdly, even though I don't much care for him as an actor too much, it was actually kind of nice to see Andrew Garfield being Peter Parker again.
I like that they always make him like the butt of the jokes as well.
Yeah, because his was like, everyone was always like, you know, those films were boring, like those films, and like he basically says that multiple times because he's so jealous of the things that the other guys have, and the villains that they have are way cooler than his villains, and like there is a great, it's stupid, but there's a great scene where like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man has like shoots his web out, and they're like, wait, what? Because someone talks about web shooters, and like he goes, what are those?
Yeah.
And he's like, for the webs, and he's just like, I make my own, and they're all like, what? Like, wait, word, does it come out of anywhere else?
Asking the important questions.
Yeah, it's great. It's nice to see the three of them interact in a way, and it's really stupid, and it's awfully saccharine, but they did get me with it.
Okay.
I knew what they were doing, but I was still like, there was a bit where I think Tom Holland looks at them both and smiles, and he says, I always wanted brothers.
Yeah.
And they look a wee bit taken aback by it, but then it's like, it's this really nice moment, and I knew I was being manipulated, but I didn't care. I was like, that's actually really sweet. And yeah, I didn't have a lot of familiarity with, because I never really watched the ones with Andrew Garfield in it. So
yeah,
Electro is one of his bad guys, played by Jamie Foxx. And I didn't like. They tried to give you a sense of that character a wee bit, but I felt like again, like you were saying before about missing something. I felt like I was missing something.
Yeah.
With Electro and the Lizard, because I hadn't seen those amazing Spider-Man 1
This
and
is
2.
increasingly becoming a problem, I think, with the whole Marvel thing. They're now in their... Are they in Phase 4 or something?
I don't know.
It's crazy.
Was it 3? I don't know about... the phases don't matter to me. All I know is that there's so many TV shows now that are going on that I am not watching, because... like,
who's got time for that?
Who has time for that?
Plus,
and also, like...
I don't know. Maybe it was successful. Who the fuck cares about a Hawkeye TV show?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's people who do, simply because there was a lot of internet stuff that like confused me. But he wasn't in a movie. There was a movie he didn't feature in that people were expecting. It was like maybe Civil War or something like that. I don't know. And the internet noticed he wasn't in it, and then made this sort of meme thing about Hawkeye not being there or something, or being left out, and that became a thing. So I think they were under the impression that people cared about Hawkeye.
Oh, okay.
And maybe they do. I don't know.
Maybe, but because there's Moon Knight, there's Miss Marvel, there's Loki got his own show.
Are you going to try and name them all? Because there's so many.
There's so many. It's ridiculous.
They're bringing back Daredevil.
And oh yeah, for Daredevil, Punisher. Then you've got what did you?
There was Jessica Jones,
guy.
which sorry,
Fister.
Fister.
The Fister. I don't know.
John, I think that's a different video series you've been watching. Are you talking about Iron Fist?
That'd be the one. Yeah.
Right, okay, yeah. Everybody fucking hated that.
He had friends as well. There was
the Defenders, so that was Luke Cage. It was him, Luke Cage. Yeah, it was him, Luke Cage, Daredevil, and Jessica Jones, because they all live in Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Now, whenever all that stuff started, like that first season of Daredevil on Netflix, and and the episodes in the second season that the Punisher was in were all great, and then the first series of the Punisher show was great.
Yeah.
And Jessica Jones was great.
Okay.
And then they deliberately started making... Well, this is my conspiracy theorist Kev thing.
Jeez, get the tinfoil hats on.
So, I think when they came up with Disney Plus, and like before Disney Plus was a thing, but when they realized they were going to do it, because that stuff was still Disney owned, but partnered with Netflix, it seemed to me like they were deliberately making them shit then, because they wanted to cancel all the Netflix shows, and they deliberately made them crap so that there wouldn't be an outcry when they started to cancel them, because people didn't like them anymore. Because season 3 of Daredevil was unwatchably bad, and I didn't watch it.
Okay.
Season 2 of Punisher, I watched the first episode and 5 minutes of the second episode and couldn't stand anymore because it was so bad. Iron Fist was garbage. I did quite like what they made of Luke Cage, but it got cancelled along with everything else. People weren't big fans of Luke Cage, but I quite liked it. And yeah, so it seemed to me like they were deliberately making them shit.
The only problem with this theory is that they continue to seem to be making shit series.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I haven't watched any of them.
No.
Moon Knight, actually, I did watch and kind of liked some of it. It felt like they were trying to pack too much stuff in.
Seems to be the same thing that they're doing with Star Wars as well. Like they're just, it's too much. It's like they're oversaturating everything to the point that it's hard to care about a lot of this. To know, I mean, even the fact that like, even if you just count the TV series that they have, you still have the likes of the Eternals and stuff like that.
That's bad. Care. That was crap. That was crap.
Yeah, to know all these ones that are coming out now that you're just like, I don't know, they just seem very weak.
It's like super people and comic book characters. They're sort of having to reach now a bit.
Yeah.
So ones that like I have heard of because I used to read and collect comic books, and especially if like a writer I really like was writing them, like. I have an Eternals thing over there because Neil Gaiman did a run on the Eternals. And I went, I'm going to get that and I'm going to read that. And it was very good.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So I've heard of the Eternals, but most people probably heard the Eternals and were like, what's that?
But it's very obvious
Or
that they're trying, they're hoping that they get another Guardians of the Galaxy who were like really obscure, but you need, I mean, that's lightning in a bottle. That's James Gunn having a very specific idea of what to do with these.
Vision.
Yeah, you know,
it's a man with a vision that gets turned into the movie. You know, he's able to take that vision and safely get it on screen. It seems to me,
which now, like, I think they've lost that in the sense that it's now this juggernaut of a machine that just like we have to do the roadmap.
Did you intentionally say juggernaut because that sounds perfect because it is junk.
I didn't actually, but my brain just must have.
It is a huge unwieldy pile of junk just tearing its way through everything.
But like they already have these roadmaps that they've already shown, and like they need to like, oh, we have to do another Spider-Man. There has to be this Doctor Strange one, and it like the main thing that I came out of Doctor Strange feeling was that there was no real love or heart in this. Any of this like Sam Raimi parts.
Yeah.
That because he's the director of this, which is hard. Like you almost had to remind yourself of this. Like there's a handful of like Sam Raimi parts. You're like, that was really good. I like that bit. But then straight afterwards is like this real cheesy, and Sam Raimi does cheesy a lot, but he does it well. Like I was going in expecting cheese. I was hoping for like a drag me to hell type thing, and I got
like the talking goat and all that shit. Yeah.
You know, but it just felt like it was Sam Raimi, but really shackled and like really, you know, he couldn't. You could almost see the red tape that Disney had like put around everything. It's like, no, you can't touch this, but you can do that. We'll let you have a wee bit of horror here because apparently this is down as a horror movie.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah, which
that's weird. I mean, I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But from the way you're describing it, it does not feel that at all.
No, it's just like it's almost good that you're talking about Spider-Man No Way Home, because that one does. There is still a bit of heart to that. There's a bit of you know, even if it is very fan servicey, which it is. Like I think they did the best they could have with while doing that.
Yeah, they got me a wee bit emotionally choked up again at certain points, and I felt like, but they did it in a way where it was like, just every time they had like 3 Peter Parkers talking to each other, and I was just like, yeah, they're all playing like the Peter Parker I remember from comic books.
Yeah,
and they're all doing it really well, and it's this sort of banter between them where you're like, okay, and there's like old Peter Parker, and they have that great scene where Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker has got like a bad back and he's complaining about it, and he's like leaning over this bit of scaffolding trying to crack his back, and then like Andrew Garfield is like, oh yeah, let me help you, that happens to me as well, hold on, I'll crack your back for you. And they have this wee like they have this wee sort of approaching middle-aged Spider-Man moment that was really sweet. It's like they invest. There's a lot of emotional investment in it, and ultimately, I think on the whole, I think I really did enjoy Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good. There was the end of it is, I don't want to no spoilers. I guess I know it's been out for a wee while, but I'm still not going to spoil it, but. The end of it was actually really sad.
Mm-hmm.
There was some genuine pathos and like really good performances.
Yeah,
that made me think, oh, that's kind of really sad. What's happened now?
Yeah,
to this guy and. You know, it left me with that feeling, and I was like, that to me, I was like, well, that film was a success. Then that successfully impacted me. It sounds like the Multiverse of Madness didn't leave you with with that feeling.
As much as I did enjoy that Spider-Man movie when I seen it, like there was even the end was like, really, that's the only solution to like you have all this magic and all these possibilities.
Aye.
Times that about 1 million in Doctor Strange and the madness of madness of madness of madness.
Multi.
Like every 2 minutes you're like going, well, why doesn't he just use this power, which they've established he has? Why doesn't he just do this? Which is, again, another Marvel problem where they don't quantify their... And in this, they even point out that there's a difference between witchcraft and sorcery. What it is, I couldn't tell you. But it's a different kind of magic. It kind of reminds me of... to juxtapose, it's like he distinctly like shows how different wizardry is from witchcraft, and I'll not go into it here, but it's headology and things like that. And it's wonderfully done, and it makes sense, and the world is richer because of it, and the restrictions he puts on magic itself, the cost of magic, makes things feel like they have weight. Where in Marvel and in a lot of things, like Harry Potter's notorious for it, it just feels like everything can be solved with magic, and if it can all be solved with magic,
here's a spell we didn't use earlier that we're just going to use now. It's like that's kind of what happened to you. And I was never really a big fan, but like Doctor Who, when they brought that back from the dead, there was a point where. And it's like, I can't remember the name of the guy that was like the showrunner on it, but his solution was always either, computers are magic, or, the sonic screwdriver can also do this that we didn't know about at the end of the episode, so everything's just fine. And I was like, that is bullshit storytelling.
And it's a particular...
I didn't know we could do... Why didn't you do that earlier? Shh.
I've been reading the instructions.
I actually sat down and read the manual, so now I know that it can solve all problems.
Which is very cheap, and it's a specifically bad problem for Doctor Strange as a character because of the nature of the magic in his stories. Because I always found that because he's not the Sorcerer Supreme in this movie and stuff like that. So you then have to question, like, why do we follow that specific wizard then? Why not the guy who's in charge, or why not
follow Wong?
Or why not just like some random one? What makes Doctor Strange special? It should be because he can think outside the box, or he does something. And there's the tiny little elements of that. He does something near the end which they're like, it's forbidden and you don't do that, and he does what other people maybe don't. But I don't know, you expect something a wee bit more. Like, he should be able to think of ways to get right out of situations, but he seems along for the ride for most of this movie.
Oh, okay. He's just sort of coasting behind people and solving their problems.
There's even them. There's very foreshadowed lines as well at the very start. He's told, you always had to be the guy that wielded the knife. Talking about his surgery days. It's like he always had to be in charge, and you're like, so that's going to come back in, and it does the worst sin ever of a character who, I'm just going to spoil it a wee bit here, but I feel that I'm justified in doing it. I don't think you'll care when you hear what it is, but someone basically just has to get a pep talk so that their powers can be utilized properly, instead of learning, instead of it being a organic thing that you as the story progresses, you're getting better at it, you're grasping what your power is, and you're learning about yourself. No, it's literally just someone at a random point goes, believe in yourself. It's like, all right, if they just said that there from the start, it should be sweet.
We got this, guys.
Which I think is one of the ultimate sins in writing. It's just that is not development. That is not... It's nothing. It's literally nothing. It is a Deus Ex Machina. It is literally, my powers work now.
Cool. Yeah, I've reloaded somehow. Yay. So it sounds like we might recommend Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's fun.
And you might not at all recommend Doctor Strange.
I don't even recommend Doctor Strange to you, and you love Sam Raimi.
I do. I like Sam Raimi a lot.
You like Sam Raimi?
I like Sam Raimi. I like Sam Raimi. We were talking about Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah.
Like, I like Sam Raimi when he's doing that. When he's like, the bit where in Drag Me to Hell, which is one of my favorite bits in any Sam Raimi movie, where our protagonist goes to her car.
Oh, God.
and is in her car, and the old woman whose loan she denied is like fighting her in the car, and her false teeth fall out, and she's like got her whole like sloppy mouth like all over her, and like it's so disgusting.
It's so disgusting and
funny.
unique.
Yeah, it's unique. It's horrifying and revolting and funny all at the same time. And that is the Sam Raimi that I love. You know, I love it when Ash is like chainsawing apart the old woman from the fruit cellar in Evil Dead 2. And she's like, it's going, and all the limbs are flying off, and its head flies off, and it like the body then is like making these like deflating farty balloon noises as it falls to the ground, and you know, shit like that.
Or
That's
even just
Sam
when
Raimi.
in Ash vs Evil Dead, the first season of that, when he's having sex with I think it's a prostitute.
And she turns into a fucking deadite.
And he doesn't stop. He just like kind of shrugs it off, and you're like, this is ridiculous.
Or the part where they go to the girl's house and her mum's come back from the dead, and they're sitting at the dinner table having dinner, and he's just staring at her like, I don't trust that. That's wonderful.
That's the Sam. That's the way I want to remember Sam Raimi.
Yeah, that's the Sam Raimi I love. There's not a lot of that in his Marvel films.
Yeah.
I mean, like he did like the original trilogy of Spider-Man, and it doesn't really have that. It has some goofy moments which are fun, but that's not. I was going to start talking about Spider-Man 3 there, and I don't want to anymore because it was so bad. But yeah, I think we'll recommend Spider-Man, and I guess sounds like we're not recommending Doctor Strange's multi-madness multiverse adventure.
Yeah.
Well, we did it, John. Whatever
What?
John you are, we wished and we wished and we prayed and we waited. And of course, the master MacGuffin himself, Doctor Strange, opened up a hole because it was a spell he forgot about. And then he remembered it was a spell.
Yep.
And is sending everyone back to their dimensions.
I put the wrong shorts on this morning. Or whatever. That's
Yes.
my impression of his American accent.
And is that something that affects his magical ability? Is like the tightness of his underwear?
You know what? Could be.
Okay.
You won't know until you tune into
I won't know
Doctor
until-
Strange 3, The Underwear of Madness.
The underwear, the multi-underwear of madness. Yes.
The Underwear of Forgetfulness.
So Doctor Strange is kind of solving our problem, but I don't trust him because he seems like a real fuck up.
Yeah.
So we might need to come up with our own solution. But before we do that, John, and this is again another week where this is pointless for me to even ask the question.
Yeah.
But John, why was Everything Everywhere All at Once better than these other two films by a huge margin?
It's by a massive margin. Just what we said, and I'm glad we can talk about the spoilers
also,
now because
spoilers in this film. Spoilers are important.
Yes,
in a way,
because as we mentioned, something like the googly eyes from the very start turn out to be one of the most important fucking things in the movie.
It's this detail that just annoys her initially. That's like pulling them off things. And then later on, it's like, oh no, acceptance and understanding is happening now. And also, oh, John, we had alluded to it earlier, so I just want to talk about it now. The most emotional I got in this movie during a scene or a shot, let's say, that should be absolutely fucking stupid and ridiculous and should just elicit laughter, but it fucking cut me up to bits.
Yep.
Just a fucking rock.
Yes.
With googly eyes on it.
Yep. It absolutely
Holy
destroys me every
shit.
time.
Holy shit. That was the moment that really pushed me over the edge properly into like, oh my god, this is wrecking me.
Yeah.
No, it was so fucking effective.
So beautifully. I did not expect.
It was
I don't
gorgeous.
expect any year to cry at a rock with googly eyes on it.
No.
But there you go. That's what this movie did.
never. Never. And man, we gotta talk about Raccacoonie. Which just seems like it's an hilarious joke about someone not understanding. Like, I don't know if the idea is that she saw maybe a trailer for the movie and didn't get it and then forgot most of it, or she saw the film and didn't pay attention, or what it is. But it's really, really, really funny when she is trying to explain to them what film she's talking about.
Yeah.
And she's clearly trying to talk about Ratatouille, but she thinks it was a raccoon, so she can't. So she thinks the movie was called Raccoony.
And it's like that beautiful thing of like I think we all have that moment, or a lot of us do, where your mum does make this completely like weird, like dissociated
like
thing.
A thing you like that you know about, and she says something about it, and you look at her and you're like, "What are you talking about?" Yeah. It's wonderful. But then the whole thing, when that comes up later, once again, emotionally devastating.
Yeah.
Just this whole film is just like, that's what I was saying about like the first like half to 2/3. I was watching it going, this is cool and entertaining. And there's a lot going on, and I feel like it's like, I initially felt like, oh, it's doing kind of a scattershot, not great way of explaining itself.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it made complete sense. It was kind of like when we were talking about a long time ago now, when we talked about One Cut of the Dead.
Oh, yes.
And how the end of that film makes the start of the film wonderful.
It almost demands a second watch to go, oh, I can appreciate what's happening now.
Yes, absolutely. So like the end, the final third of this movie makes everything that happened before wonderful and clever and beautiful and important, and it's so good. And like the martial arts in it are brilliant, and you can see like whenever you mentioned Jackie Chan earlier, I was like, that makes so much sense.
Yeah,
because there's a point where there's an extremely Jackie Chan style kung fu scene where Waylon he's got his little bum bag that he's flipping around and he's kicking it into people's faces and stuff. And like, I was like, that I think that might be a reference to like, maybe is it Rumble in the Bronx? Maybe
could be
something.
Actually,
there's a movie where Jackie Chan is doing something very, very, very similar to that, and it feels like it's a little sort of like homage to that fight scene. And then when he puts like the extra rocks in it and starts smashing it in people's faces, that's just brilliant.
It's like even the very first moment you see something's kind of up with Waymond, it was in the security cameras when he just like does
he's running
these
about
flips
the place,
and you're like,
laundromat.
What's going on? What's going on? And as you say, at that point, you're like, okay, is this just weird for the sake of it, or something like that? But I just love how even things like the first time Evelyn has to like jump to learn how to fight, and they're explaining to her, you have to genuinely tell Deirdre that you love her.
You love her and mean it.
And you have to mean it. This is the important thing. And you're like, even that you can kind of go, oh yeah, it's just random and whatever. That comes in later whenever there's an alternative universe where they're a couple and they have sausages
with hot
for
dog hands. Yeah. There's like, something really disturbing though about not that scene. The scenes between them are actually really sweet.
The mustard and ketchup.
But that bit, like, I didn't know what was happening there. I thought they had like bitten open each other's fingers and that stuff was coming out of the insides, and I find that like slightly disturbing until I realized, okay, this is probably just on there. But for the first second or so, I was like, "Oh God, this is like turned into like a real body horror thing."
It definitely does. Like at that point,
it's creepy though.
It's frightening.
Yeah,
and
like
I
the
love
hot dog people made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think they're meant to though. Yeah. In fairness, and even just like it became more apparent to me, and the second time watching just that like I love the fact that it's an everything bagel that is the kind of nothingness.
It's so like, stupid. Whenever she first says that, I'm like, what? And then as it goes on, as it went on, I completely accepted it.
Yeah.
And then was like, okay, no, this makes sense for her.
For her, and plus it's this whole nihilistic idea that like the longer you sit and think about the bigger you think of the universe as a whole and your place in it, you can feel insignificant, and it is very easy to go into those darker thoughts, and that's why we alluded to the fact that, like, you know, there is an element of like mental illness in this, that, you know, of depression.
And she says that to her mum.
Yeah.
And everything we've seen about her mum flashing back has hinted at that.
Yeah.
And it's definitely like a hereditary thing. And she has this whole thing where she's like, I don't want you to make the same mistakes I made. And she feels like she is. And there's just, I don't know, I think they do again, you know, I'm not a woman and I'm not a daughter, but I think they do the sort of mother-daughter thing really well. There's one moment fairly early on where you think, and I think she thinks she's going to, like, you know, say something and tell her daughter that she loves her, and you know, or something, and then at the last second you see her pull back and she says, "You're getting fat."
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my god. And like, I think that really sums up everything that's sort of wrong with herself, that she knows is wrong with herself.
Yeah.
And is like the stuff that she's trying to be better about and isn't succeeding at being better about. I think, it seems to be a film about trying and failing and trying again.
Yeah.
And maybe giving up. You know, because she has, at some point, you know, she kind of, it seems like she stopped trying.
Yeah.
When we meet her, that's it. She has given up. And then she just gets inspired. And then she finds inspiration that was there the whole time, that she just didn't see.
Yeah.
You know, with like Waylon, and he's like that, like when he says, like, you know, she says, "Stop being so nice all the time. Why are you being so kind to these people?" And he's like, "That's how I fight."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how he fights back. And it's beautiful, and that becomes the whole point.
That whole sequence where, like, she's fighting them with love is
it's
amazing.
Beautiful, and it's stupid. It's really funny. It's really funny and daft, but it's also really affecting. It like reaches into your chest and crushes your heart in this way.
And it didn't dawn on me initially that the googly eye is the inverse of the everything bagel. You know, it's the black in the middle with the white, whereas the everything bagel is the black
and the black on the outside with the white in the center.
And I was like, this makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. This is like everything. Everything's just like lining up here.
Absolutely. And like, I've never felt so sad about a rock.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing with the rocks, the thing is, like, they set it up really well earlier on with the bit where they're jumping through all the dimensions, and then they end up in the place where life never formed, and you're just getting like the two rocks, and then you see, you know from where the subtitles are appearing and the things that they're saying, who is who.
Even just stuff like that, like, it's well thought out to, like, so you know who's who, and you know, like, even the sizes of the rock, you know, Joy is the slightly smaller one. Yeah. And like, when she's describing through subtitles that this is where she goes, because it's the only place that it almost gets quiet for. Yeah. That to be like, to just be a rock and to be nothing else, like that, like, it's so difficult for her. And then, like, even the reasons for Joy or Jobu Tupaki. I'm getting on like Evelyn.
She can't remember. She's called it Jub Tobacco or something. Okay.
Like, even her reasons for doing this all is just to try and connect with her mother. Like, everything boils down to this just being the family drama, and I think that's how it works. It's not. It's like it goes wild. It goes out into this mad, crazy multiverse, all these different like possibilities. But at its core, it is always about mainly the mother and the daughter. But Wayman's definitely an important, really important part of this as well.
It's important that he's been there the whole time. Yeah, that's the important thing. Is the fact that she just
and his performance
noticed.
of like when he changes between the different Waymans is great.
You can tell which one he is just by the expression on his face and the way he moves.
I watched
You're like,
it.
oh no, he's the jumper now. He's the one jumping around now. You know, you just know. It's great.
Alpha Waymand.
Alpha Waymand.
Alpha Waymand. Apparently he studied the way different animals move to see like what to try and like capture like wee subtle movements. Like one of them, I think, the normal Waymand is that Alpha or is that no?
Well, our one,
yeah,
the one from our current dimension. I don't remember. I think
I should know. I should know this.
I think they're Alpha. I think the intruders, the ones intruding on the dimension,
they
are
would
the
call
Alpha.
themselves Alpha. Wouldn't they?
They're the Alpha ones.
Well,
so it's the kung fu fighting one is Alpha Waymand.
Evelyn's husband, then let's say
nice Waymand. Let's say sweet Waymand. Sweet Waymand.
He, I think he's based on a squirrel.
Okay.
So
right.
He studied squirrels and was like, so he tried to put that into the character, and it must have worked because every time you had like wee music cues, you had certain wee things as well, but every time I don't think you needed it because his acting was just so on point that
he was like slightly hunched and he just seems really like slightly scared and vulnerable.
Yeah.
All the time, but he's sort of smiling. He's trying to keep his spirits up.
Yeah.
But he's just the way he moves and all is very like sort of crouched, and then he'll just like flip and he'll be like standing up straight and he'll be like confidently striding about the place and like freaking sliding over tables and like just kicking the shit out of people. Very, very, very good.
I mean, because again, it's that thing of, I think you could go into this movie and just enjoy it as a spectacle and like crazy thing that does tie in, and I think is very satisfying, but that you don't look too deeply into. But I think the option also is there to basically what we're doing somewhat here, and like trying to pick it apart a bit and like and delve deeper. Like there's a lot going on here, and I think it can't be understated how well written it is.
Too much to talk about because like the whole end thing, when everything's coming together and you're getting all the different emotional payoffs, there are so many things that it's drawing from earlier in the film that it's jumping between dimensions about all these different things that are like thematically the same.
Yeah, like that offhand comment that the kind of the old bearded guy says to her about, oh, I like that perfume, it smells like my wife's, and at first when that first comes in you just think, oh, he's a bit creepy.
He's a creep, yeah.
But then when she actually he has a hand grenade or something, she grabs it, changes it to perfume, and
sprays
that
it in
was
his face.
and like all these wee moments that just it's just nice, it's just lovely. It's like a warm blanket being put over you at that stage. It's like, this is just really sweet, and I don't know, and like the last confrontation is fantastic. Like it doesn't end. It ends neatly, but not so neatly that it becomes saccharine and it becomes like, ugh, right, well, it kind of dropped the ball. Like,
they don't Disney it up.
Yeah.
They avoid Disneying it up by being like, no, this isn't a perfect resolution.
Yeah.
This isn't like everyone lives happily ever after. This is, I have learned and I've grown as a person, but we're not going to dismiss the fact that, you know, people are still caught up and depressed and have a lot of problems expressing themselves and what they really feel.
Yeah.
And like the place is still trashed, you know, and all that stuff. The consequences of everything that's happened are still ongoing.
Yeah, like her taxes are still a mess, but Deirdre has come, like, because Waymond explain things, and Deirdre turns out, like, again, it's done in many movies, but it's done very, like, when it's done well, you can overlook the cliche of it, where this horrible IRS woman then goes, I went through a messy divorce, and they have this like heart to heart out in the bench, and
bond on the bench, and then she vapes with her. It's stupid.
And there's like, I just found that very beautiful, and Deirdre's very much part of the family in the sense that in a different universe they are a couple, and it even makes sense that she's such a a large part of the story, because at first I was kind of like, part of me when I first watched it was going, well, are they overusing Deirdre a wee bit here? And no,
just because they got Jamie Lee Curtis, they wanted to put her in as much as possible. But no,
they're not. She's great.
Justified. Completely justified. Yeah, I don't think
the wrestler Deirdre is fantastic.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Oh, this whole film was just sort of wonderful.
Yeah.
It started out good, and then it got weird. And then it was absolutely
and before you
wonderful.
know it, you're crying at a rock with googly eyes.
You're crying about a rock with googly eyes, chasing another rock, trying to stop it falling off a cliff.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh no. And it's, yeah. So, absolutely, this is easily the best one of these films.
Definitely.
No question. Spider-Man was nice, to be honest. I was okay with Spider-Man. It was extremely fan-servicey, but... It's a goddamn comic book movie.
I mean, if you're a Spider-Man fan, you've already seen it at this point.
Yeah. I'm going to say the one is daft and fun and rubbish and worth watching if you want to watch a stupid action movie that is pretending to be smart.
Yeah, very much pretending.
It's pretending to be smart, and that's okay. Doctor Strange, John. I haven't seen Doctor Strange.
It does the Cardinals. The one I will say, there's like in the middle, it gets a wee bit boring and stuff like that. But it's kind of more forgivable because you can't sit and laugh at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doctor Strange gets very boring very quickly, and the pacing's all over the place. I honestly wouldn't waste my time watching it, but I did already.
Do you think you were expecting more of it because it was Sam Raimi?
No, I actually went in expecting very little from it. I wasn't even that interested in seeing it, but the Sam Raimi part made me go, right, you know what, I'll give it a go. I wanted to kind of do it because we were doing the multiverse thing, and it's literally it's come out around the same time as Everything Everywhere All at Once. I kind of wanted to see what's the competition, and I have to say, like, Jason is definitely beating Goliath's ass with this one, because it's just so, like, I think what it boils down to is there's no heart in it. There's no, apparently the people who wrote it didn't watch the WandaVision thing either. They didn't take that into account. So, although you need to see that as well to know where her character's at and stuff like that. Yeah, and it feels more of a movie about her, and she's terrible. She's so one-dimensional. That's
a shame, because Elizabeth Olsen's quite a good actress. Like,
you might eat your words if you see this movie, because
she's been in some good stuff. Yeah. Like, was it Wind River she was in? That was brilliant. Yeah. It's really good. I would recommend Wind River.
I actually think she could have done with. It could be the direction as well. I think Sam maybe should have said to her, like, ham it up a bit, maybe. Because she's just very.
Because if everybody seems rubbish, you maybe got to look at the top of the tree here and wonder what's coming downhill from there.
See, that's the problem then you get into with this Marvel stuff, is like, is he the top of the tree though? Like, how much interference is there in these studios? I mean,
it's Disney. Like, who's really in control?
I mean, to be honest, like, I'm not. Like, I've seen the trailer for the next Thor, and even that seems a bit like Taika Waititi might. He pulled off the last one brilliantly. I loved it. Yeah. But this one might be the one that, and maybe it's because I hate Guns N' Roses and they're using that as the title song. But
that could be it,
It's like, ugh, they've went down in my estimation. Yeah. As I said to my wife, they could have used Thunderstruck. It's called Love and Thunder.
AC/DC?
Yeah, it would have been better.
All right, fair enough. Well, I'm not going to say that because I do like Guns N' Roses. But
no, like, I think aside from that, like, the trailer didn't inspire me. It's like, I'm still going to give it a chance because I love Taika Waititi. I just don't see a lot of Sam Raimi in Multiverse of Madness. I can see why he said yes to it.
I did see a lot of Taika Waititi in Thor Ragnarok, though. So if he continues on in the same way that you see a lot of James Gunn in Guardians of the Galaxy Volumes 1 and 2,
There's certain people can pull it off, and there's certain
Yeah.
I don't know how much studio interference there is. Like, I imagine would have been a lot for Multiverse of Madness because of the horror elements that have been that are in it. But I don't know. I know you probably will watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just bear in mind it's terrible.
It does not get John's stamp of approval at all. No. Okay, well that's good. Well, so that being the case, anyway, which one of these offered the best sort of solution for adversarial sort of versions of ourselves from other dimensions being annoying to us?
I think it has to be Everything Everywhere All at Once as well.
Yeah.
Because it shows you how to, you know, at one point the wee device even breaks and she still manages to go through the dimensions because, you know, it's doing weird stuff. Like, I love that scene where you've got everyone in the room, that like they're trapped in the wee secret room.
Yeah.
And you've all these agents going after, and it's like, right, calibrate yourselves, and like they all start doing weird stuff, like someone's just starts singing.
Yeah, there's actually, okay, I'm just gonna talk about this movie again, but the wonderful scene where the guys are trying to shove like the statues up their bums. It's just fucking, as soon as you realize, like as soon as I saw the little things on her desk earlier in the movie, I was
that's
like,
a butt plug.
That's a really weird shape for that to be. And then you saw them later, and like the guy says something to him in his ear, and he looks over at them, and you know exactly what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
and you're just like, how do you pull this off without? And then it's just like, oh no, they pulled it off so goddamn well. It's so clever.
Just when you say, I know exactly what happened, that happens very rarely in that movie.
Yeah,
so rarely that that is a special
that
thing. Almost
know
like you
what's
don't know
about to happen.
Yeah, you don't know where that movie's going through most of it.
No,
like, what's going on?
No, it's wild and it's all over the place. And I love Rakakuni.
Yep.
And I love everything that happens in relation to Rakakuni from the moment she first mentions it and starts doing the actions to try and mime the film she's talking about.
Yeah.
To then her being in the dimension where Rakakuni is happening, which is ridiculous. And then the sort of end of the Rakakuni bit, where it's just, again, it shouldn't be, but is like an emotional gut punch.
Apparently, Randy Newman did the voice of Rakakuni.
I can't tell if you're joking or not.
No, I'm not being completely honest.
I thought you were just.
He's uncredited.
Serious?
Yeah,
he's the raccoon, is he? Oh my gosh, that's fucking ridiculous. All right, cool. Well, that's the best movie, and again, we're trying to establish. So you think if we just concentrate on being good people, and
you know what? Maybe you're in the universe you need to be in, and if we all just were a little bit better, if we all tried to be a little bit better, maybe it would be the best universe.
Yeah. Why don't we make this universe the best universe?
Yeah.
We can all work together. My God, we definitely sound like this sounds like a Disney friggin' ending right here.
Yeah.
If we all work together, guys, we can make this the best place it can be.
Guys, please believe me, Mickey Mouse is definitely not pointing a gun at my head right now.
No, he's incorporeal, John. Or is he in this dimension? I don't know. So that's... Listen to me, old shit. Right, well, we are on Twitter. We are at 7 Day Apocalypse. That's at numeral 7 Day Apocalypse. You can email us on filmcast at thisweeksapocalypse.com. That's filmcast at thisweeksapocalypse.com. We also have a YouTube channel, This Week's Apocalypse. Funnily enough, we're doing playthrough of the Discworld point and click game from 1986 at the minute, inch by inch, while I have electricity in my house. A horrible power cut during the last one, but hey, we'll pick that up at some point and finish it.
We're almost there. Almost there.
Yeah, we're almost there. So I don't know, John. Shall we just try to jump through the dimensional gate?
Yeah. What's the worst that can happen?
I don't know. It's trusting Doctor Strange is a dodgy proposition, but sure. Off we go, and Excelsior!